Okay, chapter 10 and 11. We have Prince Andrei. He's just finished kind of being dismissed from the war general of the Austrians, and he's feeling a little pissed off about that, and that he's not being treated with very much high regard, given what he thought was an extremely important message from the commander, Kutuzov, of the Russian victory. But he sort of brushed aside, and he has some cynical thoughts get triggered, and he goes and he happens to be staying with this diplomat named Bilibin. And he has this conversation with Bilibin, and Bilibin kind of enlightens Prince Andrei. Prince Andrei, he's kind of looking forward. Bilibin is a Russian himself, and so he's kind of looking to confide in him in a way, and sort of like, yeah, those Austrians, like, what's up with them? But this is not what he gets from Bilibin at all. Bilibin says, what are you so worried about that you're not being received with such joy, and that we're not throwing a party because, you know, the Russians won this tiny little battle. Don't you understand that, you know, you had this chance to take the commander of the battle? You didn't even do that. You had chances to take even marshals. You didn't even take marshals. It's like, was this really a victory? You know, it almost, so this Bilibin guy, he's actually a very skilled diplomat, and so he sees way better than Prince Andrei does the point of view of the Austrians. You know, the Austrians have to retreat. Mack is defeated. They're retreating. Things are kind of grim. And just in this rearguard action, the Russians have this little battle they win. And you come running to the Austrians and say, hey, look at us, look at us. It's almost like you're kind of rubbing it in the Austrians' face. Why couldn't you guys have done this? And in addition, Kutuzov, he just retreats right through Vienna. Vienna is the capital of Austria. He just retreats right through. He doesn't stop for a minute. And he gives up the city. This is the Austrian capital. And on top of that, Schmidt, the one general we all love, Schmidt, you put in the way of a bullet. And so Bilibin's just mounting this whole argument. It's like, hey man, like, wake up a little bit. This is not something the Austrians are kind of going to celebrate at all. This is ridiculous. And Prince Andrei sort of comes around. He kind of sees this point of view. It says here, he began to understand that the news of the battle at Krems was in fact of little importance. You know, he came in thinking this was part of the whole grand narrative of which he was a part of, and it's kind of like, ends up being just this little bitty thing in the big scheme of things. And so, of course, this doesn't help Prince Andrei's psyche in terms of wanting to be part of this grand, meaningful thing, of which, you know, this is something most all young men get addicted to in one version of it or another. And Bilibin, on top of it, communicates to Prince Andrei that he thinks, in fact, there's some secret peace talks going on between the Russians and the French. And of course, this is quite surprising to Andrei. And then it says here, he felt that the battle of which he had brought news was now very remote from him. So intellectually, it's kind of like the dial got way turned down on that. But then he went home. Then he went to his room, went to sleep, closed his eyes, and the emotion, however, still rings. And remember, if I said earlier, it's 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100, it's really emotion that wins, and reason just comes in the service of the emotion. And he closed his eyes, and instantly the crackle of gunfire, the roar of cannons, and the rattling carriage wheels sounded in his ears. Once more he saw the musketeers threading down the hill. The French were firing, and he felt his heart palpitating as he rode forward beside Schmidt, with the bullets whistling merrily all around, and he experienced tenfold the joy of living. And so this emotion is not something people abandon easily in their minds. So there's something here. He's tasted something outside of himself, something in life that gives his life some sort of excitement. And maybe he even can't articulate it to himself, and maybe he can't understand kind of the irrationality of it. And although we sort of have this bent of Prince Andrei being this intellectual, it's just only ever so slightly. He's really still just a young man, confused and fumbling along and trying to find his way. And this excitement of being part of the battle, whether or not you agree with that or think that's a great thing, this is a reality in us as humans. There's something that stirs an emotion deep within us, and we're going to pursue something similar or find some credit or value within it if we can't find that within ourselves. And this is where we see Prince Andrei. And then he goes, wakes the next day. He meets a bunch of the small social circle that Bilibin is a part of. And this extends to just a few other diplomats, including Hippolyte, surprisingly, we see here, who's actually a diplomat. And it seems that Prince Andrei is quite, you'd say, respectful of Bilibin, but as he's introduced this broader social circle, of which they're more than happy to welcome him into. They see him, okay, here's one of us. I don't get that feeling that Prince Andrei has that same sort of warmth. Remember Prince Andrei and talking to Pierre, don't hang around those Kurgans. Those Kurgans, they are a waste of time to you, man. So just don't do it. And Pierre, he agrees, yeah, you're right. And he goes and sees, in that case, it was Anatole. It wasn't Hippolyte, I don't think, that was there, that he went that one particular evening, but kind of grouping the Kurgans together. We know there's this context that Prince Andrei doesn't really have a great view of these guys at all. And so this is kind of in the background. Although he, in the social setting, he seems very respectful, but they all want him to come along with their going to the theater and society and partying and whatnot. And but Prince Andrei has this kind of get-out-of-jail-free card. I doubt that I should be able to avail myself of your hospitality, gentlemen. It is time for me to go, said Bolkonsky, glancing at his watch. Where to? Oh, to the Emperor, of course. Okay, see you later. When speaking to the Emperor, so this is probably Bilibin talking as Andrei is about to go. And so here you can see the difference between these diplomats and, again, Prince Andrei. The diplomatic side, which is a little bit more, I don't even know what to say, not bending the truth, but just speaking for some leverage for something else. You know, there's these negotiations. They're keen about negotiating and tactics and strategy and these social relationships, of which that's not really Prince Andrei's thing. And so Bilibin says to him, when speaking to the emperor, try as much as you possibly can to praise the way provisions have been supplied and routes indicated, said Bilibin. So he's kind of like, okay, you're going to go see the emperor. Just kind of double underline this thing, how good we've been doing this. And I like Andrei's response. I should like to praise them, but from what I know, I cannot. And so Bolkonsky, he's not the diplomat. He's not the one to kind of throw fluff out like that. But anyway, some more kind of interesting interactions. It's interesting to see how Andrei's whole persona and his emotion kind of just fluctuates. Just depends a little bit on the context, but it's still very much tied to this sort of this very vague grand narrative he's pursuing. And we'll see if he has any more interaction with these fellows or not, but he appears to be heading off to see the Austrian emperor.